Welcome to another episode of Inspired Voices. I'm Oliver Riera, and this is Kristen Mellette.
Hi, what's up, everybody? How are you?
They're doing great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and always good
Awesome.
to collab and connect. So
Absolutely.
it's all good.
Yeah, that's what I say every time, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and about what you do?
Okay. I'm Kristen Mellette, born and raised in Sanford, North Carolina, 32 years old. I graduated from North Carolina State, and my degree was in business management with a concentration in marketing. So I graduated from school, worked in corporate America for a couple years, but I just wasn't really satisfied. I was like, this isn't really for me. So I wanted to take the entrepreneurial journey. So I actually ended up writing a book, and now I have the pleasure of traveling, doing motivational speaking, talking to college students, churches, youth groups, schools, whoever will have me, but just spreading my message of hope, inspiration, and how to get yours, basically.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. I'm 32 too.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah.
Nice. When's your birthday?
July 31st.
Shut up.
When's yours?
July 27th.
Get out of here.
Yes. Yes.
That means you're a Leo too?
I am.
Oh,
I'm a Leo.
man.
I'm a Leo.
It's about to get dominant over here.
Yeah, it just got real.
All right, cool. Let's take it back. So where are you from?
Sanford, North Carolina, Lee
Nice.
County.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
about 30, 45 minutes from here.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, not too bad. Little dot on the map.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
dot. How was it growing up there? Was it hard? Was it?
It was.
Because Sanford is more like a country type of town, right?
And it's the type of place where if you drive through it and you blink, you're going to miss it. Like,
Right,
It's
yeah.
that small. But my dad's a pastor, so I kind of had an interesting
Yeah.
background. You know,
kind
I
of a
had
strict traditional background.
It
right?
was very strict and very traditional. So it was all I knew really growing up. Like I was just really sheltered. I stayed around my church and my family. So my background was really simple. So it was good for me in Sanford.
Right.
The trouble I started running into was when I moved to Raleigh, when I went to college. That was when things
So
shifted.
everything was fine during your childhood?
Everything was good. Everything was
okay,
good.
cool.
I was in church. I did what I was supposed to do. Like I was that kid that sat in the front of the class, made good grades, wanted to go to college, all that stuff. Had my life mapped out. But it took a different turn.
Right. So you went to college then?
Yeah, I did.
And so you went to NC State?
I did.
And
went to
what
state.
made you go to State?
Honestly, growing up, my whole life, I wanted to go to Carolina. That
Okay.
was the school I really wanted to go. I was a fan. My mom went there, and I don't know, just a Tar Heel fan, born and raised.
Right.
But when I went and toured the campus, I liked it. But for the program I wanted to do for business, I had to apply to the business school. Whereas at NC State, I got accepted directly into their business program.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
if I
That
went to
makes sense.
Carolina, I would have had to go for 2 years and then apply. At State, I made it right in. So
Okay. So
that's how I ended up at NC State.
Was it always like so you were always into business? Is that like kind of what you wanted to do? and
Yeah,
stuff
I
like
always knew. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew business was it. I knew that was the field I wanted to be in.
Okay.
Definitely, yeah.
So what was the trouble there? You said there was the trouble started in college.
Well, yeah, I got
Were you
to
a party girl?
college,
Is that what it
and
is?
I kind of turned into it because I had never really been exposed to it. Like
Right.
in high school, I didn't drink, I didn't
Yeah.
smoke, like I wasn't.
I was curious
at
about that
parties.
because, preacher's girl.
Exactly,
you
I
know.
was the typical PK, like the good one, because there's a typical opposite
Yeah.
side of it.
Yeah.
Not to
that's
be
true.
negative, but that side
Yeah,
of it,
it's
the
true, though,
sheltered
yeah.
one, the one that does what she's supposed to do, follows the rules.
Right.
I was really, I took my relationship with God very serious back then, so I was just really, living my life by the good old book.
Right.
Yeah.
So what kind of things happened in college?
When I went to
about?
college, I think the freedom was too much for me. I wasn't.
It was like overwhelming.
It was. It was.
Now
And
was that like in a like kind of a like so overwhelming as in like you were kind of like, oh my god, this is too much, or it was like, oh my god, this is cool.
oh
like
my
kinda-
God! Like this is what it's like. Like nobody's here to tell me to go to sleep. Nobody's here to say I can't do it. Like just the realizing that I had all these options and it was all at my hands, like at
Yeah.
my disposal. So it was good for me because I had earned it and worked up for it. But when it came time to apply everything I had learned, I
Yeah.
missed it. Couldn't
Gotcha.
get the dots to connect.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
but you graduated?
I did. I graduated. It took me 5 years, but I graduated.
All right.
Yeah, I
What
did
was up with the
graduate.
5 years?
After a while, like I just I lost focus. Like I started
Mm-hmm.
hanging with the wrong crowd. Class no longer was a priority, so I really wasn't
Yeah.
going like I was supposed to. I was on like academic probation. Had ended up going to summer school. So just a typical
Yeah.
college student who picked partying over studying, and I had to
Gotcha.
deal with those consequences. So as a result, it cost me a year.
Oh,
But
okay.
I
Yeah.
got it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on probation as well in college.
Yeah.
I didn't go to like a 4-year college. I just went to like a 1-year college.
Okay.
But yeah, still, I just said school was not my thing. It's pretty
Right.
much.
It's not for everybody though.
No,
I
no,
realize
it's not.
that.
It's not.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Oh, just to let you know, feel free to ask me questions and,
Okay.
kind of a flow back and forth conversation.
Will do. Nice. Cool. Okay.
So, all right. So college, and then you took 5 years, and then like right when you were graduating, like, did you think about like what you were going to do afterwards and stuff like that?
Well, about a year or so before I graduated, I met this guy and started dating him, and he wasn't a good guy for me. So I had, by the time I really graduated and made it through, I was really in a deep relationship with a bad person. So I barely made it through. So at the end, it wasn't even like I was focused. I just barely made it through, like the skim of my teeth.
Yeah.
So I really wasn't focused on my career or what I wanted to do. I was just kind of like looking for a job to make money, to be able to
Kind of
support both of us.
Thinking like short term and stuff like that.
Exactly. So it was just from day to day. I wasn't thinking futuristically at that time.
Yeah.
I wasn't concerned with my future at all.
Did you ever realize like you should probably hang with a different kind of crowd or anything like that?
I knew it from how I had grown up and how I'd been raised, but I wasn't. I just at the time was choosing not to do it.
Okay.
So, like, I knew what I was doing wasn't right. I knew these people were bad for me, but at the time, I was just like, you know what? I was good those first 18 years. Like, I was good those first, 19 like I was supposed to. Now it's time to just take a different route, try it my own way. So I knew I was bumping my head, but I was up for everything that came along with it.
Right.
Like, I was like, if this is coming with it, then I'm going to enjoy the ride. Stupid mindset. Stupid, I know.
Hey, you got to go through it,
At the time, though, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you're still young at the time, too, as well. So you're
Right.
able to do that kind of thing.
Exactly. So all those dreams I had younger or I had been working towards at the time, those weren't on my mind at that time. I was like, well, whatever. We'll see what happens today. See if I can make some quick cash today. So it was like that. Then I found a job and I started working. So I got a little more steady, but I just eventually everything changed. I got myself together. I just realized this isn't the life for me. Like, I can't win this.
Now, when was that moment, though?
That moment was about 2009. So this was a couple years after I had graduated. I was working. I was doing better, but like I was making good money, but I was mismanaging it. So I still felt broke in the whole lot of time. Like when you're working, and it's like, I can't never keep money. It took me a while to learn that.
Yeah. Kind of like the money, how to deal with money and all that stuff.
Right. Can you relate to that?
Because like in college, they gave me like a few $1,000s every 6 months. For the loans and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And so
grants and
and all that stuff. So, as a 20-year-old having that much money, never having that much money before, it became kind of crazy.
Too much.
Too much, yeah.
Got you. So how did you overcome those obstacles? Like, how did you get past that phase?
Well, I mean, it got me to homelessness pretty much. Like, I didn't know how to deal with money. And no one ever really taught me. I wish school would teach more, like, how to deal with money, right?
Okay.
But they didn't. And I didn't know, and I became homeless. And then one of my friends took me in. And then eventually I after I graduated, I just moved back here, help with my parents. Obviously, I didn't have a car or anything like that. So I just had and then from there, I just got jobs. And then just try to build myself back up.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Nice.
So, but so after college, what happened after college? What's going on there?
After college, I was really for a good year and a half, 2 years, I was in that bad relationship. So I was my story was kind of similar to yours. Like, I was working, but I never had enough money, so I couldn't really keep a place. Like the type of guy I was dating, had a criminal past, criminal background, so it was nothing really we could really build together or really have at the time. So we were doing the same thing, like going from place to place, staying with different friends, getting hotel rooms, like just trying to make it, basically. So I did that for a while, and it came to the point where it was just like, okay, this is enough. Right. Like, this has got to be better. So it was kind of like, I picked up on the note you said it when we were talking. Had to go back home, move back in with my parents. You know, a job opportunity came available at my church. So moved back home, made that big decision to do that, started working. And that for me was really how I was able to pick up the pieces and put it all back together.
How'd your parents take that when you moved back?
They were happy because honestly, I went for a year without talking to them, like without speaking to them. Like, I had cut off all communication with everybody.
Really just wanted to be on your own, though.
Yes, like I was determined to make it. And I knew that I had a place there. It wasn't like I didn't have anywhere to go. I just chose not to go there. I didn't want to go back home because I viewed it as kind of like failing. As like going back home, it's like,
it's like you're going backwards in life or something, right?
Right. So for a while, I tried to avoid that. Didn't want to face it, but eventually I did, and I was like, you know what? It's not a step back. it's a step forward. So
right.
that
Yeah.
hit
Sometimes
me.
you got to go backwards to go forward.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's
and when I
cool.
realized that, changed my perspective, and everything after that shifted for the better. And my life has just been building. Every day is, it takes steps because I've had to deal with everything that came with what I went through.
Yeah.
That was a process in itself, and that's
Right.
a lot of what's in my book too.
Yeah.
But that was a process in itself. But now I'm able, to share the same story that for years I was embarrassed to tell. So that's what I do now. I travel and do that, and ever since then, it's just been building. More doors are opening, more opportunities are happening.
Yeah.
Networking, like
Right.
meeting great people like you.
Oh,
That type of stuff is happening. So it's a blessing. It's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like you have a really strong self-awareness
I do.
about yourself.
I do, because I took several years just to focus on me. Like
Oh,
I didn't
good.
date. I spent time with my family and my friends, but I didn't want to be consumed with the relationship. So I took time to be by myself and really focus on work and my relationship with God and my spirituality and like, what is my belief system? What is my moral? Like, what do I want to do?
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with me. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
really try and focus on myself until I was 24. And so before that, I was like, with my childhood, my mom and my sister got deported at one point. I didn't know when they were coming back, so I had to live with my dad. That was abusive and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, that got me, like, really quiet throughout my whole life. I still had friends. I was just always the quiet one.
Wow.
And so I didn't really know how
Okay.
to be myself until I was 24. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to concentrate on
Yeah,
myself.
I'm going to do
I'm going to
it.
change. My lowest point was like when my best friend would call me to hang out.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, I'm okay. And so I would just stay at home and work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, basically just kind of just started thinking about being grateful was the
Yeah.
first step for me
Yeah.
to change my life. And then the first moment that I was grateful for something, it was like a 180, just like real quick. It just snapped into a positive lifestyle. And I loved that. And so I just kept doing it.
Okay.
Kept researching some more.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like the same thing you went
Same
through?
thing. Yeah. Very, very
Yeah.
similar. It's amazing how like people from different backgrounds can still have certain
Yeah.
things in common that are similar.
We're so
like,
similar, yeah. You were even wearing kind of like jeans.
Right. Like swag is
Twins!
swag.
That's a Leo lifestyle right
Yeah,
there.
that's it. That's it. We're rocking it too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
we are.
So what kind of things did you do to change your life?
Well, the first thing I did was I started going to church. That was like the immediate thing I did. I started putting myself honestly in places and positions to where I could get the information that I needed. Like if it was something that I wanted to do and I didn't know how to do it, I would go to a seminar that would teach me how. Or if there was like feelings that I wanted to process or like emotions I couldn't really figure out how to get past, I went to places where I could figure out how to deal with what I was going through.
Oh, interesting. What kind of
Yeah.
places were those? Besides the summer, you said mentioned seminars, but-
workshops. Like I connected with a life coach. Her name is Dr. Stacia Pierce. She's down out of Orlando, Florida. And as a result of meeting her, I joined this thing called a coaching program, pretty much that she had that connected me with a lot of different people. So
Yeah.
things like that are just what opened other doors, and it just started really going from there. But yeah, in seminars, workshops, church services, concerts,
A lot of the things that you
runs,
still
just places to.
you still use all those things today?
I do.
Nice.
I do. I still have to because it's times where I want to revert back to that old mindset, like it tries to creep back in. So I have to really,
Yeah.
I feel it now, like going through a phase where I'm having to apply everything that I've always talked about and everything
Yeah.
that I've always
Yeah.
prepared for.
Especially
So-
if you're in the public.
Exactly.
Yeah, you gotta
exactly.
like, preach what you say, right?
Got to
What is
practice
it?
what you preach.
Practice what you preach.
That's
yeah, what
it.
Yeah.
Practice what you preach. Yeah.
That's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your book?
My
So the
book-
author here. Come on. It's your first book?
It is my first book, Unstoppable from Detours to Destiny.
Nice.
Yes.
Now what? You've always been a writer? What's going on there?
Actually, no. I started off blogging. Like that was
Oh,
one of
okay.
the things I kind of looked at. I was like, I want to figure out how to get paid off of what I do every day. So I started
Yeah.
thinking like I want to go on that journey. So I noticed like with my social media following and people that I talked to and just connections, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people liked the outfits that I wore. They had questions about how I put things together. So I started a blog.
Okay.
So from there, that kind of opened up a door where I kind of built up that public and that following, and a lot of people all the time ask me questions about my story and my journey. I was like, I should write this down. Like, so I just kind of started journaling for like a year and a half, and before I knew it, like this is what came out of me putting my emotions on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So what kind of things did happen in your journey?
Um,
Give us a little taste.
Several different things. For one, The guy that I was dating was the religion called Rastafarian. So I started smoking marijuana. At the time, I really started partying. I started drinking a lot, and not just socially, but I was drinking to kind of numb myself. Like, it was certain things I just didn't want to feel, certain emotions I didn't want to face and deal with. So by that time, I was just like smoking weed every day, drinking like early in the morning, throughout the day, partying, just living for the weekend. Like, I didn't care about anything during the week. I just was looking forward to Friday and Saturday to be able to party, smoke, drink, get high, and go out. That's what I was living life for. For nothing. For nothing. And I have nothing to show for all that. Like, that's what's crazy when I think back on it. But
that's true. I mean, did you ever have those moments where you're like, you know, you've been drinking a lot and all that stuff, and suddenly you just like kind of like look around and be like, I gotta change this.
Yeah, a lot of those moments.
Switch moments.
It was a lot of those moments, and then some of those moments I would look and I would say, "Oh, I want things to be different," but I was too scared of changing. You know what I mean? Like, I was nervous to really let it all go. It was like, this really what I want to do? And then there were other times when it would happen, and I would be like, I gotta get out of this. Like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. Like, I don't know, just those type of thoughts. So, and I had enough of those to where I finally like made that decision, like,
it's time to change.
It's time to change.
And now I'm sure, like, for me, I always had like moments, like glimpses of moments where I would be like, okay, now it's time to change, but I didn't listen to it. Right? And then it happened like 10, 20 times, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I'll do it. Do you ever have those moments and like listen to your gut right away, or did it take some time with you?
Well,
a few times maybe to actually get you going.
A little bit of both. Like, at first it started out where I couldn't distinguish between the two. Like, there was a chapter in my book that's called Voices, where it's like, basically, you are what you listen to. And I started looking at like what I was influenced by. So at that time, the noise was so much louder to where my conscience was telling me the right thing, but I had drowned it out with so much junk that I couldn't hear it that good. So at one point in time, towards the beginning of it, I had that voice of reason, but I put so much distance there that I couldn't hear it. So now it's the total opposite. Like, I make sure that I keep the distractions minimized so that I can really hear what I'm supposed to do, my purpose, like who I'm supposed to meet, who I'm supposed to connect with, because I realized the seriousness of it. Like, because you could be one connection away from like being set up for the rest of your life. So, you know, you got to like take it serious. So whenever I realized that, and that's really what I do along my journey now, it's made it where now that voice is loud and clear. Like, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I'm supposed to be. And when I can't see it clearly, then I'm like, okay, let me pause and not move until I know which way to go.
Interesting.
And I take that philosophy, and apply it. And that's really what's been working for me. So that's what I'm continuing to do, and telling other people how to do the same along their journey.
That's very cool.
I
like that. When did you start? I know you started blogging, right? And then you wanted to put it out there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of felt like the people.
Like, why writing? Why blogging? Did you not?
That was the easiest way to share what I wanted the world to see. Like,
gotcha.
You know, that because social media, when I was coming up in college, like 2003, the biggest thing was like we were still on MySpace pages.
Yeah,
like,
there was no YouTube in 2003,
yeah,
right?
Not like that. Facebook was new. You know, you can do so much with it. You can connect so much. So as a result of, you know, the demand from my fan base and, you know, talking to people and different things like that, that's why I was like, yo, I should blog. Like, because that's what I'm following. That's what I'm looking at to get inspiration.
Okay.
You know, it'd be days where I wake up, I'm like, what should I wear today? And I get online and I look and I'm like, oh, that's cute. And I'm like, I could be the same thing that I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, why can't I do this? Like, what's the difference between me and her? You know, she's just taking a picture and putting it out there. So I started doing that, and I was like, okay. From there, people from then started like responding to my emails. Like, I would blog about what my day was like today. Like,
just documenting your life.
Yeah, just kind of talking, and then still encouraging people and inspiring people. So mine is always on the uplifting side because there's enough negativity in the world. So I try to be positive. But yeah, just talking about my journey, about my day, what I learned, something God might have showed me that day. Just talking stuff like that. And people got so interested in it. They would write and be like, so how is it that you deal with this, Kristen? Or like, how is it that you finally quit, you know, drinking that way? Or how was it that you finally let that lifestyle go? And I'm like, how did I do it? What did I do? And as I look, you know, so that type of stuff
started thinking on your own, right?
Inspired me to write. So as I wrote, I didn't really write it to write a book. I really was just journaling, like talking about my emotions and what I thought. But before I knew it, when I look back through it, I'm like, yo, this is a book. Like, so I started putting it together like it was one. And from there, everything just connected like it was supposed to. And
That's very cool.
Yeah, 2 years later, here I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did when you started getting responses from your blog and stuff like that, how was that? How was that feeling?
It felt good.
Yeah?
Like, it
Made you
felt
wanna do
good.
it again?
Yeah, it definitely did. And then I was like, people like what I'm saying. Like, because I was so self-conscious at the time about putting my story out there, or putting my private life out there, because I'm not that type of person. Granted, I'm fine talking with people and meeting them, but when it comes to sharing intimate details, like, I'm really private when it comes to that.
Gotcha.
So to do that was huge for me. Like, that took a lot.
Yeah.
To put that piece of my life out there. But as people responded, that really helped me connect the dots. Like, this is why I went through what I went through, so I made it through so that I can explain and show other people who may be where I was how to get out, and let them know there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Don't give up. Keep going.
Right.
That type of stuff. So I just try to do that. I share that message. I share that with people, and that's really is what's working for me.
Right.
That's what works. So that's what I go with. Yeah.
You got to do what works for you.
Exactly.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. I like it.
Yeah. Do you like to read?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't. I'll tell you. I'll be honest. I don't like to read.
Okay.
Reading was never my thing, which is
Gotcha.
ironic because I am an actor, and so I read scripts all the time. But I think the difference is that with acting, they're like really expressive in what they're saying, right? But reading is just like kind of reading it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It's just kind of monotone instead of like dynamic with scripts and stuff like that.
Okay.
But so I do listen to podcasts though. So
Nice.
That's
Those
my
are always
thing.
good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So not to dog on your book.
No, you're
Buy
good.
this book. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to write? You said 2 years ago you started writing this, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm maybe coming up on 2.5 now. This is the third year, but yeah.
Very cool. And did you think about how you were going to distribute it?
When I was writing it, no, like, I wasn't thinking about the business aspects of it, like, because I had focused so much emotionally on putting everything I had gone through in paper that I really wasn't thinking about that. I didn't start thinking about those type of things until I finished the book.
Okay,
like,
I was curious about that
because
because you did go for business and stuff, right? And stuff like that.
Exactly. So I do take that and use it, but it's interesting. I went to school for business, graduated with a business degree with a marketing background, but everything I've learned about entrepreneurship, I never got in school. Like, I feel like when I graduated college, like, I knew how to go on an interview, ace it, and work for somebody for the rest of my life. I didn't really know how to make like a living.
That's kind of what school teaches you, right?
Right.
It's just to be the 9-to-5 worker.
Exactly. But I didn't realize that at the time. I just couldn't figure out why my life wouldn't shift or accelerate. But when I started figuring that out, I was like, it's a lot of stuff I don't know. And even now doing tax stuff, like, there's stuff, I took classes, accounting, all that stuff. I've never heard of some of the stuff I'm having to deal with, like taxes, filing stuff, LLC, like, I heard about that stuff in college, but some of these numbers and the stuff behind the scenes, I've never seen before in my life.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't know, maybe, I wasn't that as focused as I should have been in school, but it's just like certain stuff class can't teach you, life just has to.
That's true.
Yeah.
I wish it
state
did,
didn't teach.
Right?
Yeah, I love my degree. They did a phenomenal job. I'm not knocking my school, but certain things, just life.
Well, that's school in general.
Has to
school in
teach you.
general.
Yeah.
So you went to a marketing and business company. How was that? Like, what made you go into that? Because before that, you were working at the church?
Well, no, actually, when I graduated college, I got a lot of like marketing jobs. Like, a lot of stuff I got was like salesman type jobs, like selling stuff door to door, like Cutco, selling knives, that type of stuff. Like, and I was like, I'm worn out. Like, by the time I'm using gas, putting miles on my car, like different stuff like that, I was like, this just isn't worth it. Yeah. So I kept finding those type of jobs, but it wasn't enough for me. And I really didn't like working on commission from that side of it because I wasn't making enough to where commission was a factor. Yeah. So I did those type of jobs and I was like, I just can't do this. And then I found a job at a doctor's office that I liked. It was okay. Yeah. It was interesting. I learned some different things there, but that really was just a job. Like, at one point in time, I was like, I just need a job. Whoever offers me one in the office, I'll take it. And that was pretty much that type of job. Okay. That was what I took. So I worked for him, made some good relationships, learned a lot of stuff about substance abuse and, narcotics, pills, different things like that. Just seeing that side of it from working in a psychiatrist's office that prescribes pills and medicine and just seeing how it really affects people. Yeah. That was a journey in itself. So I worked a few odd jobs like that, doing things like that. But eventually the opportunity came home to move. The opportunity came available to move back home. And that's when I took the job with the church. And I've been doing that for the past 8 or 9 years.
You haven't thought about it, have you?
Yeah, it's been a while. And we actually have a after-school program at our church that I'm the director of. So I've been doing that, too, the past 8 years.
What are you doing there?
Well, we are a federally funded program, so we got a grant from Department of Public Instruction. So we have the kids Mondays through Thursdays from 2:30 to 6:30, and we just do after-school tutorial, enrichment. We teach them about different things like leadership skills, career development. It's just like a safe place for kids to really be themselves.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, it all starts with the kids, right?
Exactly. And they really humble you and make you get why we do what we do.
Yeah. I remember seeing that there was a school somewhere in the U.S. that started doing, instead of like after school detention and stuff like that, instead of calling it that, they would just go to like a meditation room and they would teach them how to meditate. And it actually improved their grades. It made them calmer. They didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Okay. So did you ever meditate?
No.
No? You never meditated?
No. Well, not in the literal sense of meditation, but I do take time to really think about what I want to do, about my goals and stuff like that, but not literally.
That's a form of meditation.
Yeah, a form of it, but not the typical form.
Gotcha. So you never did like hypnosis or anything like that?
No.
Did you ever think about your subconscious and like training your subconscious to think a different way? Because for me, I really didn't see a difference until I started training my inner thoughts.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
What kind of things did you do for your inner thoughts?
For me, like a huge outlet for me is running. Like I love going to the park, being outdoors and just running trails, different things like that. I like to run for causes, different 5Ks, runs for things like that. But that's one way I really express myself. Another thing I do is every morning I get up, I take like 10 to 15 minutes and I just sit there quietly, like no music, no TV, phone. And I just make myself goals for the day. Like what is it that I want to get accomplished today? What is it that I want to get done today? What kind of good decisions can I make today? Take time to do those types of things. And that's really what helps keep me centered. It helps keep me focused, and it helps keep me on track for what I want to do and where I want to be.
Very cool. So you didn't get goal oriented until you probably have the life coaches?
Yes. They taught me, like it was a lot of stuff I wanted to do, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So they really helped me with like real life steps, real life tips and tools, like things I could really do to help me get to where I wanted to be. So they helped me jumpstart the process of putting things in place to help me win.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that was in Orlando, right?
Yeah, that was
Did you travel to Orlando to do that?
I did. Me and my sister went.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we stayed and it was actually my birthday weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, so we made it a trip out of that. We were like, instead of going to Cabo, like where we wanted to go, we're like, you know what, let's go somewhere where we're going to learn something that's going to be beneficial for what we want to do. Because at the time, she wanted to be an entrepreneur as well, and she was having a lot of the same problems and obstacles that I was running into. So we were both in the same spot, looking for guidance, looking for direction, looking for somebody who was in the field of what we wanted to do to help us, really zero in on where we were supposed to go.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I do. That reminded me of like my vacations. Yeah. Every time I may go on vacation, I always want to go somewhere that I haven't been before, because I know it's somewhere that it'll teach me something. Right. Like for me, I'm a big nature guy, right? So I like to go hiking at different mountains that I've never been to. Okay. And it just, like the hike, I always say like the hike is like life. I mean, it's a struggle. It's up and down, right? And it's so strenuous. And I was like, I want to give up, but you can't turn back because you've already gone so far. So but when you get up to the top, it's just like the scenery is just
beautiful view.
It's beautiful, and it's worth it.
Yeah, you take that moment to take it in. It's like it's all worth it.
Exactly, just like life.
Yeah, it's deep.
It's deep, son. That's deep. So entrepreneur,
that's the journey for me. I mean, I do work, I haven't completely given up my job, but that's my dream, to one day be able to not work a typical 9-to-5 job and be able to travel, really making more of an impact, reaching more of an audience, and being able to really, travel the world and do what I love.
Yeah. It's like a branding kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I want to be big.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going for the top.
It's like the female Les Brown over here.
Yeah, pretty much. I've always thought that, like, it's going to sound crazy, but like when I was younger, I was like, I'm going to be like a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I know it. Like,
That's what I said.
I'm supposed to be a big deal. People just don't know it yet.
Yeah, I know. I told myself that every day.
Yeah, and they're finding out slowly but surely.
Yeah,
They're joining
exactly.
the team, and it's all love.
It took me years to really figure out that it doesn't come right away. It comes
No, it doesn't.
slow
It's a
process.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But once you realize that and are okay with it, then, that's when the patience kicks in. Right?
Exactly.
Did you find that the hardest for yourself as doing things on your own?
No, I was very independent growing up. Like, I didn't have any problem being on my own. Like, I knew that I was going to I knew what it took. Well, I
But
thought
the patience
I knew.
of it, though.
That's a good question.
Because
That's a whole
it's
nother
hard. It's
ballgame
hard
right
for a
there.
lot of people. Even for myself, it's hard sometimes. About, I got to remind myself constantly, like, okay, just be patient. It's not going to happen right away.
I'm learning that. I'm still even learning that as we speak. So, yeah, I would say that's always been a challenge.
Yeah. I think I'm constantly going to be learning that for the rest of my life.
Right.
It's because, like, we're so, I guess you and me are like, we're so goal oriented. We're
Yes.
ambitious.
Right.
We got a lot of things that we want to
Driven.
accomplish. And so people who are like that,
Yeah.
just really got to learn patience. I think that's the
do.
first key.
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of times in life, like, I'm like, I want to learn patience. I want to master patience. But instead of just me getting patient or learning to be more patient, I guess is the word, opportunities present themselves for me to be patient. You know what I mean? And it's so interesting. I'm like, oh, this is not what I asked for. Like, I didn't mean like this. But so a lot of times stuff happens for me that way, but I learn along the journey. And I've learned how to deal with it, and I'm still learning how to deal with it. So now I don't look at it as stuff is just happening or woe is me. Why is this happening to me? It's like, okay, here's an opportunity to learn. There's something here that I'm supposed to see. There's something I'm supposed to learn. There's something here that's going to benefit me, and I'm going to it's up to me to figure out what it is.
Right. Yeah. You
So that's what helps
embrace
me.
the bad times.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Les Brown said, what did he say? He said, "Oh, you're not having a bad day. You're having a character building day."
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Just a day to practice what you preach.
Exactly. So when bad things happen nowadays, I mean, of course, you take it as, oh, okay. But does it take time for you to get back on track?
It does. It does. And it takes moments for me to remain on track too. You know what I mean? Like, because I can get off and get back on, but I have to take that moment to really be like, is this really what I want to do? Like, is getting off track at this moment just because I heard this worth throwing everything away? You know what I mean? Like, is my skin that thin or is it thicker than this?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I deal with it. Like, okay, it's a challenge in front of me. I got to pick between this. I got to pick between that. And these are the obstacles, that I got against me. And this is what a consequence is as a result of picking this. And this is the consequence as a result of picking that. So I sit there and weigh those type of things. And it helps me make better decisions. Like, it helps me get it right more than I used to get it wrong.
And I think the more self-aware you are, I think the better decisions you're going to make.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, you got to practice it. Like, like same way if you were playing sports or anything else, like, you got to practice what you do. Like, if you've got a God-given talent, it's like, shame on you not to master it. Take what it takes to really take what he's given you and learn how to profit off of it. But at the same time, sharing a message, like,
Yeah.
so that's all it is. When you get that and you realize it's a bigger purpose, it's something more behind it, you kind of focus more on the goal and you don't look at what the problem is.
Yeah.
Some stuff I look at now is like, okay, this is just potential for me to grow.
Yeah.
This is a chance for me, my legs to get a little stronger because I got to walk, more of a heel now, more of a little bit of a slope. But at the same time, I'm still walking. I'm still going forward.
Yeah.
It hurts a little bit now, but at the end of the day, I'm still moving, progressing. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's how I do it. And
That's
that's
very
what's been working for me.
That's
what
good.
about you? What do you do, like, if you run into
Any obstacles and stuff like that?
Or when you hear a no when it's supposed to be a yes?
I automatically go to the next thing. Okay. I automatically go, okay, what's the next solution? What's the solution for this? Okay, no. Okay, what's another thing? That's where my mind goes. I don't
Okay.
I don't like to dwell.
Yeah.
I used to dwell a lot, but I trained myself so much that it's automatically, okay, don't worry about it. What's the next thing?
Right.
Because
It
there's
does
always a
nothing for
positive
you.
to a negative.
Yeah.
So and if I don't see any solutions, then I just keep it in the back of my head. I don't let it, drive me crazy. Like, oh, I can't find the solution. I just let it sit there, and then I know that I'll find a solution for it.
Nice. You
And
got to
then it
be
ends
like
up
that.
happening.
Yeah. And that sounds like it's working for you. Looks
Yeah,
like it's working
so
for
far.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. So then you're a motivational speaker, right?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
So
Yes.
did you were always speaking because you're in the church, right? What did
Yeah,
you-
like when I was younger, I went to different churches and I spoke to, youth groups, or it might be like a youth conference. They would ask me to come and talk, or maybe sometimes panels where people would ask what it's like being a preacher's kid, or like a family who's in the church, what that journey was like. So I did a lot of that when I was younger. So I'm comfortable with it now because I've done it since I think I was 16 the first time I spoke, and I traveled to a church in Florida. I remember, I'll never forget, they flew me and my mom there. Traveled to a church in Florida, and I spoke in front of a group. I thought it was a small church. I think I thought it was maybe like 100 or 200 people. I got there, it was like 800 people. Like, it was huge. Yes, and it was packed.
Were you
the
scared?
night I had to speak, I was
Yeah.
terrified, but it didn't do me any good to be scared. Like, the
Right.
fear wasn't doing anything for me. So I had to push past it, and I was scared. But once I got past it, I was like, yo, I can't believe I was able to really do that.
Right.
And pull it off. And then they paid me afterwards. I was like, what? They gave me money too. They fly me here. They put us up in a hotel room.
Did you expect
they
that?
feed us. I expected money, but not what they gave me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can give you numbers. Like, I expected maybe like a couple $100,
Yeah,
maybe
and it
$300 or
was- it was
$400.
more than that.
Yes.
Nice.
Way more, yeah.
It's always exciting when
Yes,
that happens, right?
It was. It was like a digit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I'm like 16. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So obviously you talk to a lot of people. And,
Yeah.
you hear a lot of stories.
I do. Some similar to mine, some very, very different.
Right. Different and then maybe even worse, right?
Maybe
And
even
stuff like
worse.
that.
A lot more that I'm hearing now are worse. Well,
Right.
they think they're worse. They're really not as bad as that a lot of people think they are. But
It's all sort of like in their head.
right, if
and
they
stuff
think
like
they
that.
are, then it is to them. So
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
What about you drives you to do this? Like, it can't be just because of, you want to get out there and obviously you want to make a difference.
yeah,
and
I want
stuff
to
like
make
that.
a difference.
But there's something more to it, right? Are you fulfilling something?
Well, yeah, like I've seen since like coming back home and working at my after school program and just kind of taking time to reflect back over my life. There are so many people like in the world who are hurting. Like, they're looking for answers. They're looking for somebody just to tell them everything's going to be okay. Like, and I got to a point where I was like, yo, I'm tired of like looking around and seeing that and not being able to do anything about it. I was like, so I can't touch and I can't talk to everybody, but what I can do is figure out how to share my message. Like, what I can do is get online and hit the button and talk to you and tell you that everything's going to be okay. I can encourage you not to give up and stop fighting. So really what I do now is travel, sharing my message and being to other people what someone was to me. Because
Gotcha.
at my lowest point, there was something I cut on TV. There was somebody's article I read. There was something I looked at that kept me from like making a very, very stupid decision or like ending it all totally. Like, it was something always that kicked in that gave me that hope right when I needed.
Yeah.
So I just want to be that for other people
Yeah.
that may be feeling like that.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different for me. Like, the reason I do these inspired voices is because I never had anyone. Never had anyone to kind of talk to
Wow.
or a guidance of any sorts.
I'm sure that was tough.
That was tough. So I had to
Yeah.
learn everything on my own. And so that's why I learned the hard way a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from as well. But,
How was that?
it was tough.
Like,
It was
how did
very
you?
tough.
So did you find somebody? Like, did you really literally have no one, or was there like somebody that you found that was
No.
that something for you? Nothing.
Nothing. Not at all. I mean, I had to turn to motivational speakers. And the first one I found was, Les Brown. And
cool.
then E.T.
Yeah, he's good.
And
I'm
so-
actually in a coaching program with David Shands.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
called Sleepless Nights. I just joined like a month or two ago.
Very cool. I know they have like a motivational group.
Yeah.
Or like something where you could be certified or something like that.
Well, I'm not doing that
know.
one, but he does have a program where he's coaching entrepreneurs on how to make more money, like how to accomplish our goals and giving us steps on what we need to do. So kind of like what Dr. Stacia was those couple of years ago. He's someone now, but he's more in my demographic. Like he's
Yeah.
more in the vein that I really want to be in, more my age group, more swag. You know, it's just more similar to who I am.
Right.
So that's why it works for me good. But yeah, stuff like that. And he's a great example. But when I heard you say E.T., I'm like, yeah. Know him. He's nice. Yeah.
That energy, man.
Yeah, it is. At first it was a lot, but then I was like, yo, I need this. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's for me.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it has to be for you because you're a Leo.
Right. That's it. That's it.
Pound it out.
That's it.
What about entrepreneurship do you like and what don't you like about it?
I like being my own boss. I ain't gonna front. That's lovely. I love that I get to make the decisions. I'm in control of my business and the direction that it's going in. Like I'm the one who, when people inquire and want me to maybe come speak, I'm the one that gets to look at the calendar and decide, you know, I'm gonna take this or I'm not gonna take this, or this is something I want to do, this is something I'm not gonna do. So that control in that aspect is really, really awesome. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
also, being able to help other entrepreneurs is cool too. Like giving back, like being in a position where you're making money and it doesn't hurt you, to be able to reach back and help others is cool
Not
too.
hurt others.
Yeah, not hurt them. Help. Did I say hurt? Yeah, exactly.
I got you.
Yeah, not hurt others.
Yeah.
You know, help them.
Yeah.
That's good too. Like that feels good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what about it is like the hardest for you?
The hardest is, at this point in time, I would say, is learning how to balance it all. You know, like as business grows, you know, just keeping things up to date, like juggling, you know, the finance end of it with the branding end of it, the marketing end of it, like just
The consistency.
Yeah, because you have to keep content out. You know what I mean? And that's like a full-time job in itself. That's not easy. So I'm trying to learn how to master making what I do every day content, so it doesn't feel like I got to go and do this. I just post where I'm at versus feeling like, oh, I got to get somewhere and find the time to do this, you know. So learning to do all of that and juggle and balance it all is probably one of the toughest things.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. Yeah. Especially like, you know, with video and editing and all that stuff. It takes hours to edit and render and stuff like that.
You do that?
Yeah.
Nice. I need that. I need that.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah, I need that. I do. I need to shoot some videos,
you should, though.
some YouTube
like, you
stuff.
You got a phone.
I do. But
Phone has a
believe it
camera.
or not, I'm not as technically, whatever the word is, technically savvy as I should be.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm sure my phone can do so much stuff to help me. I just haven't taken the time to, you know. Yeah. But I get by. I keep stuff going, but I've got to step up in that area. That's one area where I got to do better too.
Right.
Keeping content out.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
So what would you say to someone who wants to do stuff on their own, but they don't know quite how to do that? Or maybe they have so much fear that they're afraid that people will, you know, be like, oh, no, you're going to fail, you know, talk bad about them and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things for me, because there's several different things I would want to say and give to them, but I think one of the biggest things is not being worried about what other people are going to say. Like, because in the field of entrepreneurship, like, you got to realize that what you have may not be for everybody, but that doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to write another book just because everybody's not going to read my book.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to get to the point where it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter how many no's you get. Doesn't matter what you don't have. Like, you're just so focused and determined on what you want to do that everybody else's negativity doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
You only hear the positive. You only hear the good. You know, because if you don't get that concept, every other tip people give you won't make a difference because you'll listen to somebody else and let it go like that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of like what I tell I used to teach improv.
Oh,
and
okay.
so one of the things that I told my students always was, you just got to go up there and say, fuck it. Right.
Go for it, man.
Yeah. Like, what? You have nothing to lose.
Yeah. Let your me flag fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Rising up. All right.
Right. That's it. When
Yeah.
you do that, you're like, yo, I mean, it's okay if you don't like it. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. And people really, honestly, what I've discovered, people don't know what they want. It changes so much that people don't have a clue as to what they want. So why in the world would I be worried about what someone else wants?
Yeah, exactly.
And I just move forward that way.
Yep. That's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
So when did you release this?
October of last year. Yeah, I did. Okay. Well, I got it in September, but I waited a couple weeks and looked at a couple launch dates and a couple events and things that were going on and scheduled around then. But yeah.
Very cool.
It's been doing very, very well. Very, very well.
nice.
Like, not to toot my own horn, but I'm just saying I'm getting ready to state facts.
Oh, shit.
Several, not like that. I know it sounds huge. I'm probably hyping it up. But like several, I made a point to put my book in the hands of several different type of people. Like people from different races, ethnicities, like backgrounds, age brackets, like all different types of people. And a lot of the feedback I've gotten is like the same. Like it's relatable, like it's conversational, like it's just real. Like it really helped me. And that's really why I wrote it. So to hear that is like, I know what I did, what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
It was worth everything I went through.
That's awesome. You planning on doing another book?
I am. I'm actually single, so I'm thinking about doing like a single girl's playbook for dating. Something like that, yeah. Because now a lot of people are asking me like, now that I've written this book about my journey, now people are like wondering like what my life is like now. Like, you know, are you dating?
What's
are
the
you
update?
married? Do you have kids? And I'm like, no, you know, I'm working, I'm single, I'm focused a lot on my career and I'm working, so I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people ask me like, how do you do it? How do you not, you know, feel lonely? How do you not feel this? I'm like, girl, when you focus on what you got to do, you don't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so I think my next book is going to be something similar to that, like a dating playbook for single women.
Okay.
Because a lot of them are getting it wrong. They need help getting it right.
That's true. Or getting the wrong advice.
A lot of us, I don't want to say them, a lot of us are getting it wrong. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can't figure out how to get it right. So I want to help us out. And in turn, we're making it hard for the men. So it's just a damaging cycle. Nobody's winning.
Yeah.
And that's another thing.
It's
I'm
like
just
politics.
tired of
Nobody's winning.
Nobody's winning. I'm just tired of looking at it. Like same thing with the news. I'm just tired of looking at it, being able to talk into the TV, but I can't do anything about it. Like so I always try to look like, how can I make a difference?
Right.
Even if it's just starting a little wave, or even if it's just like putting it out there. I don't know, whatever it is. Like I'm gonna do my part.
Yeah. I find that like when you're doing your own thing, you're busy doing that. That's when everything else comes into play. Yeah. Is that kind of like what you're?
I am. I am, and I stopped focusing so much on other people. Like for a long time, well, not for a long time, but for some amount of time, I let the fact that I wasn't like so many of people that I idolize hold me back. Like I was like, if I'm not at that level, I must not be winning. Yeah. No, I haven't walked their journey. I don't know what they had to go through to get to where they are. So, you know, I look at that and I keep inspired, but I don't let it, you know, hold me back or make me feel like it's ever a strike against me. It's always something that I can step on and, you know, move past and go forward.
Right. That's very cool. Yeah. So for all the single guys out there, Kristen over here.
Oh, man.
Got him. Cool. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about where they could find you, where they could buy your book?
Yes, my book is available at my website. It's KristenMellette.com, and it's spelled KristenMellette. Yes, and my book is $17. You can order online. You order it today. We'll ship it tomorrow. I'm also on Facebook, Kristen.Mellette, spelled the same way, and Instagram. Follow me on there, Chris_Rocks, ROCKZ. So it's KRIS_ROCKZ.
Very cool.
And that's ways to stay in touch.
Self-published? Very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to do it too.
It is, and it's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
So much
a
cheaper.
lot more work, but definitely worth it.
Yes, and I know, like, because sometimes when you go through other processes, like, you don't know really what's happening, but like with self-publishing, you know every edit. I know it's on every page. I know every change. Like I'm aware of everything, and I just felt like that. This is me, like through and through. This is me, like from the ink to the, you know, like this is me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So. I like the font size. It's like perfect for me.
Yeah, and I try not to, you know, I'm one of those ones where like I skim through a book, like I pick it up and I'm like, oh, how long is that chapter? So there's one that's got a little length to it, but for the most part, I tried to, you know, keep it the way I read. Like, you know, your attention span is only so far, you know, so I put pictures in there. I put some, you know, cute little anecdotes and stories. And it's really, when you read my book, I wanted it to feel like it's like having a conversation with me.
Oh, that's good.
So it's like watching a video. So it's not like your typical womp. It's,
right.
I keep you on your toes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what about, did you fall in love with the work ethic? Or is that something that...
You mean when it came to writing my book or just in general?
Just in general. Like when you started doing your own thing. Did you...
I feel more in love with the reward.
The reward?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that. Like the work ethic I learned to appreciate, but what I really fell in love with and what like is why I still do it to this day is the reward.
Yeah.
And on both the side of financially and emotionally with the fact of being able to help other people, like it's what I've always wanted to do. I just figured out how to do it. Like,
yeah.
When you figure that out and you're able to really put that together and it connects and it works. Oh my gosh, like what you're able to do.
Because like I want to impact a lot of people just like you do.
Oh,
and
good.
That's exactly what drives me. I remind myself every single day that what I'm doing is not for myself, it's for others.
So what's your ultimate goal? Like, what is it that you want to, what is it you see yourself doing?
Honestly, the only thing that I'm focusing on right now, I had a lot of different goals, you know, stuff like that. You know, eventually I want to like build a school and stuff like that.
Oh, okay,
and all that stuff. But the one goal that I'm really concentrating on and that's really working for me is the fact that I want to impact the world in the films that I make or the videos that I do and all that stuff. I just want to impact the world, and I know that takes a lot of work when you're talking about the world.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's when the work ethic comes into play.
Okay.
And once I started doing the work, and I was like, at first it was like hard.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's like, oh my God, it's a lot. But then I was consistent with it, and I fell in love with working. And now I can't see myself, you know, working less hours than I already do. Not unless I'm taking vacation or something like that. But
so for you, is that like being a director?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm more of a director than anything. Like, with, you know, I film and stuff like that, but I wouldn't consider myself a film, like a camera guy or anything like that. I'm not technical in the.
So you more on the like the creative side where you create the content for it as opposed to being the one to capture it.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what I want. I just need someone to do it for me.
Nice.
AKA
but when you
Matt
figure
over
that
here.
out, though, that saves you a lot.
It does save me a lot.
You're not running around trying to do it all. You recognize, you know what, this is not what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
But I can find someone who does.
Exactly. But at first, you know, it's hard to find. Sometimes it's hard to find the right people to do it. So you have to kind of just do it yourself. But the good thing about that is once you know what you want by doing it yourself, you know the kind of people who can do it. Like you know what to look for.
Yeah.
So
that's important too.
Yeah, that's true. Are you you trying to build like a team for yourself or anything like that?
Yes, slowly but surely though. Like I've got, the good thing about it is the relationships that I've built so far, like along my journey, I've kind of already created a mini team, you know, between like some of my close girlfriends, my sister, some of my cousin and family members, like people who really support me and get what I'm trying to do. Yeah. I'm able to kind of recruit them, and that's working as my team right now. But I know eventually I will have to get to the point where, you know, I have staff and I have people on payroll who are doing certain stuff. So I'm looking to do that. But for right now, I'm trying to keep costs down. So I'm looking at working smarter, not harder.
Yeah. Well, I like to say working smarter and harder.
Smarter and harder. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And or makes a big difference. Well, and not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Nice.
Kind of keeps your drive going.
Yeah, I'm going to have to post that.
Or for me, at least. Yeah, do it.
I'm going to have to post that. I'm going to have to steal that one from you. Or borrow. I'll give it back.
No, you can keep it. It's okay.
Thanks. You heard him. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's documented.
I'm just kidding.
All right, cool. That's it.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I do like an edit thing right there. So.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything you want to add to it though? You got all your social media up there and your
I
book.
got my social media. I got my book, my website, where to find me. Yeah, I'm not. I'm Instagram. That's the main thing I'm on, and Facebook. So nothing really to add to that.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks so much.
How long was that, man?
53 minutes.
Sorry.
53 minutes.
53. That went by fast. It didn't feel like that.
It's because we're Leos and we're connected that way.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was very comfortable. Like, you know, sometimes it can be awkward on camera, like vibes. You know, you pick up on it's just cold and distant, but it felt comfortable. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Nice. You're
thank
welcome.
You for saying that.
Yeah, you do this a lot.
I'm starting to. It's you know, when I started this, I started with Inspired Goods. It was called Inspired Goods, and I started that probably like 11 months ago, and for the first probably nine months. It was just me testing things like, should I do this here? Should I do this there? You know, I started with Instagram a lot, and then I moved to, you know, trying different things. And so now that I'm doing this, it became more consistent. And so now I'm just kind of like scratching everything else besides the films that I make like 3 times a year, and just putting my all into this instead.
Nice.
I think that's like
you stay in front of the people that way. That's good.
Yeah, that's true. And it gets more specific too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not like my brain's not over here and then over here, and then
Right.
it's just here.
Yeah, that's good that you're focusing on it, because even me on the consumer side of it, like I would much rather watch a YouTube video like this where people are just talking versus like a show where it's scripted or it doesn't feel natural.
Yeah.
Like people are looking for more
Yeah.
realistic stuff. So,
Exactly. That's
yeah,
my
it's
thing.
winning.
Like, I want to keep it raw, as raw as possible.
Yeah.
Even if I mess up horribly or anything like that, you know, I blank out a lot or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
I want to keep it all in there.
That keeps it, what's the word? Organic.
Yeah,
Authentic.
organic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It keeps people like, oh, okay, I like that. It's
Yeah.
rustic.
Yeah. I like the rustic side.
It's